Good evening, I'm Walter, and welcome to Concrete Block, your trusted source for in-depth analysis and unbiased reporting. Tonight, we're focusing on a complex issue that has sparked intense debate in Ghana and beyond. The West African nation has recently agreed to accept deportees from the United States, citing humanitarian and pan-African grounds. This decision has been met with widespread criticism, both domestically and internationally. To provide some context, the agreement between Ghana and the U.S. aims to facilitate the deportation of individuals who are not eligible to remain in the United States. The Ghanaian government claims that this move is motivated by a desire to help fellow Africans, rather than endorsing President Trump's immigration policies. However, many have raised concerns about the implications of this deal, arguing that it undermines Ghana's sovereignty and breaches international law. Critics point out that the agreement may be in violation of Article 75 of Ghana's 1992 Constitution, which requires parliamentary ratification for international agreements creating binding obligations. The minority group in Ghana's parliament has accused President John Mahama's government of disregarding the rule of law by operationalizing the agreement without proper approval. Furthermore, human rights organizations such as Human Rights Watch have expressed concerns about the potential human rights abuses that may arise from these deportations. They argue that the U.S. deportee deals often involve opaque arrangements and may lead to the mistreatment of individuals who are sent to third-party countries. As we delve into this complex issue, it's essential to consider multiple perspectives. On one hand, Ghana's government argues that accepting deportees is a humanitarian gesture, aimed at providing support to fellow Africans in need. On the other hand, critics argue that this move may put undue pressure on Ghana's economy and raise concerns about national security. We'll continue to explore this story, examining the potential consequences of this agreement and the reactions from various stakeholders. We'll also be discussing other top news stories from around the world, so stay tuned for more in-depth analysis and balanced reporting. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. I'm your host, Walter, and we're diving into the complex world of international politics. Today, we're examining a critical moment in Israel's history as the country grapples with its identity, security, and place on the global stage. As we explore this story, it's essential to acknowledge the deep-seated emotions and convictions that surround the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. We'll strive to present a balanced perspective, recognizing the legitimate concerns and aspirations of all parties involved. The article we're discussing highlights the need for Israel to redefine its relationships with the international community, particularly with Western liberal democracies. The author argues that the current government's policies have led to increased isolation, and it's crucial for Israel to reset its connections with countries like the United States, the European Union, and other democratic nations. One of the key points raised is the importance of addressing structural problems within Israeli society, such as the ultra-Orthodox community's integration into the workforce and the army, as well as boosting employment among Arab women. The author also emphasizes the need for a functioning and effective government that can tackle issues like housing, education, and the cost of living. Regarding the Palestinian question, the article suggests that most Israelis recognize the need to separate from the Palestinians, but the process must begin with the Palestinians demonstrating their ability to govern themselves effectively. This includes combating terrorism, ensuring good governance, and addressing corruption. It's clear that Israel's future is at a crossroads, and the decisions made by its citizens in the coming year will have far-reaching consequences. As we consider this critical moment, it's essential to approach the topic with empathy, understanding, and a commitment to finding peaceful solutions that respect the rights and dignity of all parties involved. As we take a step back from this complex issue, we're reminded that the path forward will require courage, openness, and a willingness to engage in difficult conversations. The world is watching Israel, and it's up to its citizens to determine the country's future course. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block, folks. We're wrapping up today's episode with a story that's been making headlines around the world. The United States government has been deporting individuals to various countries in Africa, including a recent group sent to the small kingdom of Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland. Now, this story is complex and multifaceted, so let's break it down. The U.S. government has an agreement with Eswatini to accept up to 160 deportees in exchange for $5.1 million to build the country's border and migration management capacity. However, human rights groups and civil society organizations in Eswatini are challenging this deal, arguing that it was made without parliamentary consent and could potentially undermine the country's democracy. The deportees themselves are individuals who have been deemed deprived monsters by the U.S. government, with some allegedly being members of transnational gangs. However, others claim they are being unfairly targeted and deported without due process. It's essential to note that this issue is not just about Eswatini or the U.S. It has implications for regional stability and global migration policies. Neighboring countries like South Africa have expressed concerns about the potential for deportees to cross into their territory, highlighting the need for a more comprehensive and coordinated approach to addressing these issues. As we delve into this story, it's crucial to consider multiple perspectives and avoid simplistic or sensationalized narratives. The reality is that migration and deportation policies are often shaped by complex factors, including economic, political, and social considerations. In conclusion, the deportation of individuals to Eswatini raises important questions about human rights, democracy, and global cooperation. As we continue to follow this story, it's essential to prioritize fact-based reporting and nuanced analysis, recognizing that there are no easy answers or solutions. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay informed.